to Gen Friends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy, and we've got our wacky, crazy panel here with us tonight. We have got Melissa Barker, the archive lady.
How are you? Hello, everyone.
I hope I can stop laughing at some of our panel members and do these introductions correctly. We've got Laura Hedgecock from Treasure Chest of Memories. Hi, Laura.
Hi, and for the record, it's not my fault.
We have Shelley Murphy, our family tree girl. Hi, Shelley.
Hi, everyone, and it is my fault.
Bernice Bennett is here from Genealogists. Hi, Bernice.
Hello.
Mary Kircher Roddy from MKR Genealogy with her fabulous quilt behind her.
Hi there.
And the troublemaker himself, along with Shelley. Dan Earl, our family history guy. Hi, Dan.
Hello.
We thought it would be a great idea, since at the time of this recording, we've just had Mother's Day. And I thought, why don't we bring something from our maternal lines that we have, that we are, our heirloom photo, whatever it may be that you want to share. We've got our archive lady in the house that can help us know how to archive it. And I also thought, Laura is so good about stories. Maybe she could even help us, think about a way we could write a story about it, or help us figure out how this item helps with the stories of our family. So we're just going to take turns, and we're hoping that you, the viewers, will learn some things about how to preserve those precious items that you have on your family. And upcoming, we'll do a Father's Day version too, so we can do our paternal lines. So I'm going to go first, and then I'll let you guys go, because I want to go quickly through to make sure that you guys have plenty of time. I kind of did a 3-generation thing. I've got my mom's teddy bear. It's a little pink. It does not really coming through as pink. And of course, he's really getting faded from probably the sun hitting him. And I've had him in, Melissa, I've had him in a curio case that does not face the sun, but he was in an attic for eons before he was passed on to me. So I'm not sure what the best thing. I mean, I'd like to display him, but I don't know. At this point, I don't know if he could get too much worse if he's in the display case, because I mean, the ribbon, I think maybe was once pink or white, but you can't even tell. So
that's the best thing, is to keep him out of the sun. Other than that, you can actually, get him encased in, a shadow box or something.
Yeah.
That way that that the elements could not get to him.
Well, that's a good idea,
the main thing with most artifacts, documents, or photographs is the temperature and humidity levels. And even if it isn't necessarily you need to keep them at a certain level,
right,
keep them at a consistent level, because it's the fluctuations is what damages whatever it is you're trying to preserve.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I asked my mom so I can do some stories. Like I know Laura would say, well, talk to your mom about the bear, right?
How old is the bear?
Well, mom was born in 41.
Okay.
So, she just always remembers having him. It's not like, she has any real stories. She just always remembers having the bear. And she doesn't remember when it was packed up in the attic. So, but it came out of my grandmother's attic, so it didn't travel. My dad was in the military, and so this did not come with us from country to country and place to place. So it was actually in my grandmother's attic. So anyway, I was hoping to find a picture with my mom holding the bear. I thought that would be really cool, but I haven't been able to find that. Then quickly, my next one is my mom's mom, my grandmother. This is one of her hats. I have a hat collection. I got to figure out, I don't know how to put it on the right way. But the one thing I learned from this hat is that her head was way smaller than mine, because I can't really get it to, it'll just sit like that. I can't get it to pull down. But anyway, I've got a hat collection. And so something like this, Melissa, could I, there goes my hair. Could I display this? I mean, it's got dust on it from just sitting it in my closet where it's in the dark. And
I would encourage you though to put to stuff it with archival tissue paper, so it will keep its shape.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
And what era is that? Is that 30s,
She was
40s?
Well, she was born in 21, so I don't know.
Okay, so that, yeah, it looks like
Right.
the 20s or the 30s.
It
So
does.
that bow would be on the side.
Right. But here's another thing that I'm wondering. Could this possibly, because she was born in 21, is this just a remake of that era? Or, because I know that these were so popular in the 20s, could this have been her mom's and not my, I'm not sure. And so this could have just been, how the fashions just come around. So I really do need to do some research and see if I can figure out what era. And
is there a maker's tag or anything
there
inside?
is, and so I know I need to look that up and see if I know when that company, it's even got a number and all that on it. So
Cheri,
And-
yes,
you know about Google, oh, what is it? It's Google Lens. Have you ever used that?
Google Lens. Nope, but I'm writing it down.
My neighbor across the river is a antique dealer, and when you put it, it's an app that you can use online, but also on your phone.
Okay.
You take a picture of it, and you go to Google Lens, and they find a similar picture on the internet.
Okay. So is it different from Google Image? Because I know you can do the same thing. Okay.
I mean, Google Image, you can actually upload a photo.
Right.
Similarly.
Okay.
It's, I'll find weird things in my house and I don't know whether they're worth anything. And to come back, it's worth $14.95.
Of course. Yes.
So that might be a good way to
okay. Thank you.
start the research.
Right. Thank you. And this last thing was my grandmother's mother's. It's a comb, one of those. Yeah.
Oh.
And I do have a picture of her with this in her hair. So that's really cool. It's got one little break here at the tip, but it has survived. So I believe they outlawed, I looked it up, they outlawed using real turtle. And so I think that this is probably just plastic. I don't believe, it just feels, I don't think it was real turtle, because I think by the time
but what's that other heavy like plastic that combs?
Bakelite.
No, it's, what is it?
Bakelite?
No, it's another comb and brush era.
There was clamshell.
It wasn't,
No.
it wasn't animal.
So I'm not sure, but I don't know.
What is that other poly?
It looks too plasticky in the back to be real turtle,
Yeah.
So, and they had outlawed that probably by the time that she was wearing.
I'm gonna look that up because there's some old plastic stuff that a lot of combs and brushes were made out of, and I want to say it was in the 40s, but I'm gonna look that up.
She died in the mid 30s, and so whatever it's made out of has to have been made before then. And I've got a picture of her wearing it, and that picture was taken about 1920. So sometime in that time period, but it seems to me, and I might be completely wrong, that they'd outlawed using real turtles shells before that picture. And so, I mean, it could be, and she could have had it for a long, long time, but to me, just the back of it feels too plasticky for it to be.
I can tell you that plastic has not come into play yet.
Well, I'm just the
30s.
feel, the feel of it, but it could be. So maybe I'm wrong, and it is real. Yeah, very possible. So, but I want to turn the time over to everybody else. Who'd like to go next? Maybe we ought to go to Bernice, because Bernice has got a cool picture she wants to share. But we'll make sure everybody gets to share.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Oops, all my things came up. Okay, so this is my baby sweater. And this sweater was made by my great-grandmother. She was born in 1879, passed away in 1955. And this is my granddaughter with the sweater on. And this is what I look like at the same age, my twin sister and I. So you could just look at us and imagine that we were in that sweater.
Beautiful.
This is what I actually have it.
Oh, look at that.
This is the sweater. Oops, I'm doing it backwards. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. It's gorgeous.
Shell stitch.
Yeah, and I'm like, did your grandmother really do? Oh, she said, oh yes, she did.
Wow.
Her grandmother made this sweater.
Wow. What I like about it too is it's still got its shape. It still looks like the color is still, it looks like it was a white or an off-white, or maybe some, does it have a little pink on it?
Yes, it does.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, it looks really good
Yeah.
for how old it is.
It's 72 years old.
That is precious. What a precious thing. And to have your granddaughter wear it is just like, oh.
No, but you know, my mother said, oh, you have to, you know,
Of course.
thing, of course, you have to take that picture with her.
Yes, and then when she has children, you know, every generation should have a picture taken with that sweater. Oh yeah.
Right.
And that can become a story in and of itself.
It's certainly
The story of the sweater.
And then I have one other item. This is, if you can see it, this is a Carnival Glass, and on it, it has my grandmother's name, Maddie Kemp, 1909.
Wow. Carnival Glass used to be so
Edgeville, South Carolina.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Awesome.
love that.
And my dad managed to, I guess, to save it. You know,
Yeah.
it belongs
Oh,
to me now, and I just put
Yeah.
it in my curio cabinet.
yes. Oh, that's beautiful. I know people will collect that Carnival Glass. So how wonderful not only to have the Carnival Glass, but to have her name on it. So you know when.
And to have the date, yes.
Date.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
date, because you know, you go into and you get these kind of things, and somebody will say, well, I think that belonged to grandma or maybe her mom, or you know, but it's passed down in the family. So you've got the proof right there of who it belonged to and when. That's beautiful. Any thoughts, Melissa, on the best way? Is it just in that curio cabinet for the Carnival Glass, and then
Yeah, glass is one of those things that, you know, unless you drop it, there's not a lot you can do to harm it. I would say make sure that the sun isn't hitting it, because the red on there can fade.
oh,
That's the only thing I would say. But no, glass is one of those pieces that that will survive just about anything.
mhm.
And so yeah, no, I think I would definitely put that on display.
And then the sweater.
Well, the sweater, I mean, because it is old as it is, I mean, you could put it in a shadow box and put it out for, you know, for to be seen. But I would want to put it in a box with some tissue paper and keep it safe, because it is so old and you want it to hand it down to generations to generation. So, yeah.
Right. You know, I was thinking maybe when we've got these precious things, maybe they could come out for the week of their birthday, you know,
Yeah.
so you can say, you know, this is out because it's the anniversary of whomever's birthday, and then you can explain that to anybody that comes to visit, and then you can carefully wrap it back up and put it away for a while.
I barely remember to send people their birthday cards. I'm never going to remember its birthday.
Do you know how I remember? On my genealogy computer program, it has a feature where it will bring me up reminders of birthdays. And so I just click on there, and that's how I can make, I do calendars and things like that. I know whose birthday is coming up during the week, because they're all my ancestors' birthdays. And you can, you know, click, you don't have to put everyone like your, you know, fifth cousin, sixth time removed, but you, just your direct, if you want to do that, or special aunts and uncles or something like that, you can do. And so that's how I remember whose birthday, because it just pops up for me. So Laura, why don't you go ahead and.
Yeah, because I have to take a walk. I don't want to have to plug in my computer and not be able to take my walk. So the first object is
Field trip with Laura.
oops, I have to do it this way, is on the wall. You see it's a wooden moon and a star that my uncle made for my mom. And I have her Russian dolls that she had while she was traveling. And I don't know if you can see, but the moon has stairs.
Yeah.
So it's like a staircase to the stars.
Oh,
So that's so special. Whenever my Uncle Joe is here, I say, you know, you made that. And he's like, yes, I know.
Oh, like he's going to forget that he made it.
This is the main thing I have. this is, let me see if I practiced this, believe it or not, people, beforehand. This is what we call the Ebony Clock.
Oh.
And it's just a mantle clock.
Uh-huh.
But it was my grandmother's. And what makes it, it was lighter in here when I practiced. It's getting dark here. But let me
We can see it. We can see it.
Of course, I left my glasses in the other room. My grandmother wrote a story about this. You're talking about stories.
Yes.
So my grandmother wrote about this. I may have to get up and get my glasses. I am. So you guys look at it real quick, and then I'll take you back over and I'll put on my glasses and
okay.
I love live on air.
This is why we don't often do field trips.
Yes.
So sorry about
No,
that.
you're fine.
No, I think it's great.
Just that.
Is all right.
Okay, so the clock. She wrote the Ebony Clock. Long ago at the old home place at my grandfather's farm, I sometimes felt very much alone, except for an old ebony clock. I do not know where it came from, but it sat on the parlor mantel. Whenever this clock struck for the hour, all of the fairy bells seemed to ring for me. It was always a comfort for me when I was very little. I learned to talk to it, telling it my childish woes. Its friendly tick-tock seemed a nice way of saying, I understand. Years passed after my grandfather died, then my grandmother, and the ebony clock went one way and I another. So then she goes on and explains how she saw it in the home of a relative, and it was her cousin Ellen, who my mother was named after, and they would not sell it to her, but they gave it to her. Oh. And she ends it with, it seemed an old and much beloved friend had at last returned. Sometimes it keeps good time. Sometimes it will stop as if refusing to hurry the time along, except on special occasions.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
That is.
And so it doesn't work at all now. And I took it to a clockmaker, and he's a clock repair guy. He says it is no special value. It was just kind of a dime a dozen kind of clock, which makes sense. Yeah. The family was always, for generations, very, very poor. And he said, you know, I could pay to have the mechanism restored, pay to have the housing restored. And those are options because of the emotional value, but it has no monetary value. Right. But it is, to me, a great heirloom because I think of it comforting my grandmother when she was a child.
What a story. That is so sweet. And that you've got that letter. That's amazing. Those are the things we all hope for. And most of us never get.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I really do believe when we write our family stories, we ought to include these objects because people don't know why we hung on to something, and they might do the whole Google lens and say, okay, this was worth $14.95, out it goes. Exactly. They don't know that it was a comfort to us or why we hung on to it.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful. Melissa, how do you preserve? Well, she's got three things. She's got the wall hanging, which I hope that you've taken a picture of. You said it was your uncle that made it. I hope you took a picture of your uncle next to that. So you've got that.
I'm not sure if I do. I'll have to try to do that. Yeah.
Well, no, it's interesting. She has the wonderful story. You know, I encourage people to make a copy of that story, whether you handwrite it or type it out or whatever, and put it with the artifact. Now, in your case with the clock, if you're not ever going to fix it, maybe even open up the back of it and stick it inside so that it doesn't ever get away from that item. I've also had people take and somehow nicely attach like an envelope or a archival sleeve to the underneath of that and put the story in there, somehow keeping the story with the artifact. Because what gets lost, like you just said, is the story or why we kept what we kept. I mean, when your children or grandchildren are going to go through your home, decide what they want to keep and what they don't, if you haven't documented what was
Yeah.
important to you and the stories behind them, then it may get tossed. And
Right.
so that is a great point, Laura, about stories, but also, you know, putting those stories with those artifacts.
It'd be anything to know why, you know, when to be able to say to my grandmother, when did you wear these hats and why?
Yes.
Did you buy, you know, where were you going? And was it for something special? But I didn't know about it until after she passed away. So
yeah. And that's almost the case with most of my mother and my father's things, with a few exceptions, because they were killed in an accident. They never downsized. They never went through that process of saying, here are the things we want to keep.
Right.
So you didn't know. I mean, some things it was clear, but a lot of things.
And if you can find photographs of, like Cheri asked, if you got a photograph with your uncle by the things that he made, you know, or do you have pictures of the home where the clock once was?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, if you have photographs of the people with the artifacts or in their homes, you know, I would put that with it as well, because it just adds to the story.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. That's funny, because I've always not taken too many pictures of that moon and star, because I don't want my cousins to say, wait, Dad made that. I want it.
And you know, I knew someone.
It's out there now.
I knew someone once that took, and they had a lot of family artifacts, and they took photographs of each artifact, and they took and put, not, you know, the original picture or copies or a digital copy, and put it in a scrapbook, and then journaled the story as they knew it, or whatever information that they knew, and made a scrapbook of family heirlooms.
Oh, that's a fabulous idea.
Great idea.
Page of my Uncle Joe, since I don't have a picture of him with it, but my Uncle Joe,
exactly,
young now, and the
yeah.
And you said he made it for your mom. I mean, a picture of the two of them together would be great.
Yes. Yes. That would be great. Yeah. Oh, that's so special. Thank you, Laura. And thanks for the field trip. That was really fun.
Sorry, it was lighter when I did.
Oh, no. It turned out great. It turned out great. All right. Anybody want to go next, or do you want me just to call on somebody?
I did put the home information.
Oh, I see.
Now do you guys remember that term?
Celluloid.
Yeah. That was back from the 1850s.
Okay.
And combs, I just know of combs, and not that I knew something about 1850, but combs and brushes is what I've seen. But yeah, it was called celluloid, and it's a mix of nitrile cellulose and camphor. Put together, and it's a little thinner than plastic, but it always looked milky, like, if y'all know what I'm talking. And I thought of a heavy plastic is what it was called, but they're always in antique shops and stuff.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but that was what, and a lot of combs were made out of those too for hair.
Thank you for doing that. Do you want to go ahead and share?
Sure. I have something that's mine.
Well,
now I will be 69 next month, right? I might have to stop my video, can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my grandmother, when I was 10, so 1962, gave all of her granddaughters their last doll. And this is my baby doll that I got. And of course, I'm not the one that has it. My mother has my doll. And of course, my mom crochets and stuff. So she has a gown on.
Oh,
you can see the gown, just like Bernice's sweater set. Those are the things my mother does now. And she'll be 91 in a couple of weeks. So, but this is my little baby. She has, my mom, of course, made a slip for her. She's got booties on, right? But
precious
tape right here.
Oh,
my youngest brother, 3 years younger than me, took a hammer to her leg. And it's been patched ever since then.
Okay.
Just like you know how
Tanya
brothers
Harding
are.
and Nancy Kerrigan.
I didn't even think of that. But anyway, this was my last doll that I received as a little girl at age 10. And I don't even know if I named her, but Mama keeps clothes on her and
Aww.
stuff. So that's there. And my mother's work.
How
which-
old was your brother when he took the hammer to her knee?
Well, it probably was in about 68 or 69. And he's 3 years younger than me.
So
Yeah.
always good to know better.
He was the brat of the family because his personality is a combination of all 4 of us kids. Well, there's 5 all total, but he's got a little bit of all of us, you know. And that was one thing that I had that the boys didn't have, and that was dolls. And this was my last one. So
Oh,
See, this is why we have to write about objects. Is there's
yes.
great stories, and it might not actually be about the doll as much as it's about your
about
brother.
him and the hammer on the leg.
Yes.
So
Well, yeah,
I love
you
it.
should include that in the story because it's
You
part
should.
of the doll's history.
well, what I'm thinking of
As
doing,
Mary called it.
based on our discussion, is going ahead and typing something and putting it up and connected to her slip.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. that's
Connected to her
great.
slip inside. I don't have grandbabies, but I got a whole bunch of nieces and nephews and things like that. So, you know, and it'll be a story, and they all know the younger brother, my brother
Mhm.
Gary, and he'll never hear this, so I can talk about him. But yeah, he's
Oh.
definitely not going to look at a genealogy day. But the crochet is the historical stuff. All of my mom and her sisters all crocheted and knitted. And so
yeah.
that next generation of all of us kids born in the 40s and 50s,
Mhm.
all the girls learned how to also crochet and knit.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's what keeps her busy, and it's math. Think
Oh.
about it. That crochet is math,
Oh, that's a good
and her
point.
brain is sharp as a tack, you know, and stuff. So anyway.
Any
I
thoughts,
think-
Melissa? Because I've got a doll that belonged to my grandmother. I think I've showed it before, so I didn't bring it again, but it was one of the very first crawling dolls. And her dad used to work at a store, and so when it came in, of course, he brought it home. So probably very late 20s, something like that, that this doll was created. But anyway, and she's peeling, you know how they start.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't. She's got that fake
Mhm.
almost like celluloid, but no, it's plastic hair. Look,
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the way this
No
is.
hair.
Is she
Yeah,
held
this is
together
before the
by rubber
Chatty
bands?
Cathy and all of them. Huh?
Sorry,
Is she
Laura.
together by rubber bands?
If what?
Oh,
Is she held together by rubber bands? Her you know what?
Oh, you know what? I don't remember.
Just
But let's just strip this baby.
while you're looking, Melissa, what was it?
Well, if you're going to put it on display, again, dolls are actually very hardy artifacts, kind of like
Yeah.
glass.
Mhm.
And so, but you know, in the archives world, in the archives catalogs, they do make archival boxes for dolls.
Oh,
And they actually have a clear archival film thing where you can actually see through and see the doll.
mhm.
I would say that I would just make sure that it's not near sunlight again.
Right, yeah.
But you can also get the wire things with to hold the doll up if you want to stand the doll
I
up.
see what you're saying. Yes.
You know, supporting the doll is a good thing because just
Mhm.
like hangers with clothes and things like
Right.
that, you don't want anything to be pulling on or distressing the fibers or the parts of the doll because it will, you know, deteriorate over time.
Okay.
I have no idea what's hooking the arm in there, but I can turn the arm all the way around. So I don't think it's rubber bands. There was a time, remember, they just stuck in and they turned.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I think it's one of those. And again, 1962, so it would have been made probably around that time too.
yeah, I have some Madame Alexander dolls from
I
that
do
era,
too, yeah.
and they have rubber bands, and they look pretty good, except if you touch them, their limbs all fall off.
I kept mine in their boxes and they've never been out. This one has been out ever since Mom got it, or kept it. You know what I'm saying? It's always sitting in her room and other little dials she's got with crocheted stuff on it.
Well,
And,
if you
so
look
it's
at
never been put away.
if you look at the base of her head in the back, it might have the maker's mark or maker's name, and you might can look that up and find, you know.
Sure,
that'd be cool, because all of us girls have them. I don't know, you know, I don't know how.
The maker's mark is usually at the base of the neck and the back.
Yeah,
or
it's EX20.
It's probably a model number.
That's the model number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't figure out Apex, APEX, then EX20, or it might be 6X20.
Okay.
Apex?
You probably could Google that.
I was just going to say the same thing. Maybe you can Google it.
I am.
While Dan goes and shows us what he brought, you can be Googling that.
I will.
Okay, so we're focusing on ancestors from our mom's side of the family. Well, my mom's mom immigrated. She was a refugee immigrant from Hungary to the United States. So she really didn't bring anything with her from the old country. So I have some scanned photos of her. This is she and my grandfather. Sorry, and then you can all see yourselves in the reflection. And so I this is usually just off screen, by the way. But I'm actually going to set this down so it doesn't fall. But when my grandmother passed and everybody was sort of going through her things and sort of deciding who gets what, I remembered that my grandmother kept an old bat in her closet just in case a mugger or somebody was going to break in, even though she lived on the third floor of the funeral home that my dad owned. So the chances of a mugger coming to her house were statistically relatively small. And so I just asked my mom, like, hey, could I have the old baseball bat? And she's like, yeah, no problem. She's like, we'll get that for you. So I have nothing from my grandmother, no photos. I didn't get anything that she had except for this old bat. Well, I got the bat, didn't really think anything of it, kind of stashed it in a closet. And one day after my wife and I got married, I pulled it out and looked at it, and I noticed that there were some signatures on the bat. And and so I started doing some research on the names, and some of the names I recognized, some of them I didn't. They were all from the Detroit Tigers. And the only season that all of those signatures played for the Detroit Tigers was 1935, when they won the World Series. And so I have a Louisville Slugger baseball bat signed by the 1935 World Series champion Detroit Tigers. Oh my gosh.
That your grandma used to.
Which my grandmother was going to use. So this has signatures from Hank Greenberg, Charlie Gehringer, a lot of the old Detroit Tigers from the 30s. And of all the things that my grandmother owned, this is the only thing that has monetary value. So this is worth thousands and thousands of dollars because of the signatures on the bat. And the bat's actually broken from what I am assuming is game wear. Right, that's what I think. Right now,
have you looked for newspaper accounts of the game? The reason I'm asking is because they may mention a bat being broken.
Yeah. And so, and my grandfather drove 3 nails into the bat to put it back together so it could be used again. So there's 3 nails. I don't know. You probably can't see it because of the glare, that are holding it together. But yeah. So this is.
And what do you have it in? Do you have it in?
So this is in an archival quality plastic tube. And so that's because where I live is humid during half the year and not humid during half the year. This helps to regulate the humidity. And it's stored in a closet where it does not see the light of day, nor see the hands of my children.
No hammers, huh?
Right, because it would quickly be out in the backyard hitting anything, the shed, trees, each other,
siblings.
Like just, you know. And so
one thing you don't want to do is do not shellac it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Treat it.
A lot of people think if they shellac it or put a clear coat on it, it'll save the signatures, and really it will actually damage the signatures, and it'll be less valuable if you do that.
Yeah, and some of the signatures are, I mean, obviously now at, you know, over 80 years old, are starting to fade significantly just through that. And but there are some that you can see very, very clearly, including Hank Greenberg's, and others that are just super clear on this. And so
have you typed up the story and stuck it in that tube?
I'm not going to put it in the tube unless it's printed on archival paper, because I don't want anything that's acidic to be touching the bat. But I have typed up the story and have it digitally, and my kids know that there is a baseball bat that has some value, and they also know that should the house catch on fire, I'm going for the bat, and my wife is responsible for them. So,
how old were you when you got the bat?
Oh, my grandmother died when I was in middle school, and so for goodness, probably close to 15 years, it just sat in my closet, unprotected, just sort of sitting there. It's just, oh, the bat that I got from my grandma. You know, when my dad's mom died, I got a TV cabinet of hers. It's now a bookshelf that's behind the camera here. So I really I wasn't like, you know, hunting for heirlooms when my grandmother's passed away. I was like, I'll take the bat and the TV case, and the TV. I still have the old downstairs, but yeah, that's my heirloom.
Very good.
Wow, that's
World Series Detroit Tigers.
That is.
Now, do you know where she got the bat?
So the story that I got from my uncle was that when before my grandparents got married, my grandfather was at a game and got it at a game, but whether it was the World Series game, we don't know. Whether it was just another game. So he lived, so the old Tiger Stadium is in a part of Detroit called Corktown, which is called Corktown because it had a large number of Irish immigrants, and his last name was McMahon. And so he lived walking distance from at the time, Briggs Stadium, before they changed the name to Tiger Stadium. And so he could just have walked down to the stadium as a young man, or gone after work, or skipped work and have gone to a game with some friends, and
wow,
you know, happened to get a broken bat, and just, hey guys, how about everybody sign it? And they just all passed it around and signed it. But there's at least 6 guys that are in the Hall of Fame that have signed that bat.
Wow.
So it's,
have you reached out to the Baseball Hall of Fame or anything?
Nope, I don't want anybody to know that I have it.
So, I was gonna say, he doesn't want them to take it away from him.
Well, and I don't want to be tempted by an offer. Like if they're like, we will give you this, like I start going like, oh man, that's kind of a lot of money.
Well, yeah, just put it out there, buddy.
I mean, it's not like people are gonna. It's not like I'm talking to genealogists that'll be able to track down where I live.
We find the people alive, just like
if they break in, then you got a bat to hit them with.
I know that. I don't know about 1935, but I know that many baseball players actually had their bats that were theirs, that were because they each had they had numbers on them, or they had ways of telling whose bat was whose.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's what I would want to know. I would want to know, is it the World Series? Who did it belong to? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. When I looked, because I put this in the plastic about about 20 years ago. Well, no, it was after my wife and I got married. So like maybe 18 years ago is when I put it in the plastic, and I don't remember there being a number written on the knob at the base of the bat, which is usually where they would write their number, and then they'd have them in a rack, and then they could just see, and they'd pull the number. Oh yeah, I'm 5. I'm going to pull this out, and that would make it much easier to go, okay, when did this player break their bat, and then go, okay, this may be. But that's the story without any way to corroborate it. But it's a cool story. And you know, that's the bat, and it is in a closet in my house somewhere. So if you come to my house, try to get my bat, just know you're gonna have to rummage through a lot of closets. There's a lot of children.
That's so funny.
Probably step on a Lego.
Step on a Lego, and that'll be the end of them.
That's our home defense system. Legos strewn everywhere.
Very effective, let me tell you.
That's right. We have the Macaulay Culkin home security system. So.
And they hurt.
That was great.
Yes,
do hurt.
they hurt.
All right, Mary, what do you have?
So I sort of, well, I have a couple things. This is a silver soup tureen.
Oh,
Pretty.
And it needs a good polish, but we had to let Daisy go, so sorry. So, but we may have used it at holiday dinners, but what I really remember about it was it sat on the hutch, and my mother would hide the candy in it, the bag of Easter candy or whatever. So, and
a good memory.
Eventually we would, realize that that's where the candy was. But then you go and you just have to be like super quiet so no one can hear you opening it. So and when my kids were little, I hid candy in it too. So anyway, I love that story about it. And then this is on the wrong side, but it is my grandmother. It's just my paternal grandmother. So, but I have my husband is a university professor, and I'm a genealogist. Not a big intersection in that. But here's what the intersection is. This is a diploma. I have a collection of probably 30 diplomas that are, from my kids, mine, my husband's, my dad's. This is my grandma, my dad's mother's 8th grade diploma. From Tiburon, California. State of California, and it has it's I can't really show it to you, but it has I think she's Athena. It's the goddess that's the on the seal of California, and the California bear. It just the imagery on it is just beautiful. So that's from 1903.
Oh my god.
And well, I have to laugh, Cheri. Your grandmother is the same age as my dad. They were both born in 1921. And I think you and I are probably
same age.
Yeah. An entire generation there. So this is my grandmother's diploma from 1903. And Bernice, your great grandmother was born the same year as my grandfather. And I got great grandfather that's born in 1835, I think. So just hugely long generations.
Yeah, it's just interesting how some of us have short generations because we all kept getting married very early.
And I'm like the youngest of the, not exactly the youngest, but the youngest,
exactly
5 out of 6. My dad was 6 out of 8, and just
exactly. It's interesting how that happens. That is really, I love what you brought. First of all, let's talk about the silver, because I've got some silver as well. I guess it holds up pretty well throughout the year.
It does. It does. Mary, you said something about cleaning it. The tarnish on it. It can actually get so tarnished that it starts to get pitted.
Yes.
And so you don't want that to happen. But other than that, it's real sturdy. It'll last for a very long time. You see people, archaeologists that dig up stuff like that, and it's fine. So and I see you have your document framed, and so just keep it out of the sunlight. That's all.
And we have a stairwell that has all these diplomas in it, and
you might be surprised too that going back as far to 1903, the document, the paper, and the graphics and the materials they use, a lot of times they actually use silver and actual gold to do those diplomas. And so if you've ever talked to a paper conservator or someone who knows about paper conservation, a lot of those documents are actually worth some money, not because of the document and whose name's on it, but because of the paper and what they used for the graphics.
And now we're all going to start rummaging through.
You saw that second look.
There's any silver.
Well, but a lot of those are actually worth money. We have in the archives, we have back when communities, and they still do it today, communities and counties used to do bonds, build buildings and stuff. I have bonds dating back to just 1950, which that's not really a long time ago, but a paper conservator told me that the certificates that these bonds are printed on are worth money just because of the paper and the and what they used to make those certificates. So It's interesting when you get into paper conservation, you find out what's kind of worth some money.
That's
My
really
my grandfather's Dartmouth diploma is real sheepskin, and the whole thing, including his name, is in Latin.
Wow.
So they even
William and Mary does theirs all in Latin.
Wow.
Still do them in Latin.
Wow.
And they're
Those
what,
are
second
treasures you've
oldest?
got. That's
Yeah.
really cool. I love that, Mary. Thank you for sharing that.
And you know, this is one that I framed all these, and they're hanging up, and to me, I mean, and I don't think that they hit in the sun, but they probably get, you know.
Yeah.
But my family will have a connection to these things and recognize them.
And it's family, you know, accomplishments, and it's history, you know, just looking at those, you know.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, see, what I would want to know is I want to hear some stories about them going to college and university.
Yeah. And I wrote my grandfather. I got his transcripts from Dartmouth, so I even know what kind of a student he was.
Oh.
But can I tell you guys one funny story about my daughter? I have 3 kids, and they all graduated from high school with honors. And so they got a little gold sticker on their diploma. Except my 3rd daughter, my youngest, didn't get the sticker.
Uh-oh.
And I'm looking at it, it's like, why does this diploma not match the other 2? And so I called the school, and the person at the school, I won't tell you where it was, said, well, we just decided not to spend the money on the stickers this year. Okay, this is a private school, and I have spent
a lot of money,
$15,000 a year on your tuition at that school, and you're telling me that
give me that sticker,
50-cent gold sticker. You're not. So I said, really? And she said, oh. Yeah, we'll send you the sticker. So they sent me the sticker, and then that fall, they sent stickers to everybody, all the graduates.
Oh, that's
funny. I love it.
That's a good story too. It should be included. That's fabulous. That is really funny.
I kind of embarrassed my daughter, but yeah, you know.
So you know, us mamas going to do what we're going to do sometimes. Right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
I really think with your grandmother's certificate, there's a lot of time with women. There is a big story because they were trailblazers.
Yes.
I mean, as late as the 50s, women needed their husband's permission to get a credit card.
Yeah.
Pants, you know, so.
Yeah.
In 1903, that was unusual, was it not, for women to graduate college?
Yeah, so that was her 8th grade diploma. I have her high school, and she went to college for 1 year, but and then got married.
Still,
so,
you know.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's so, and that's a great idea. I know I've got a few of those types of things, so I do need to get them and frame them, and I've got them scanned, you know, so in case anything happens to them. But now that I've got them scanned, I should put them up so that people can see them, because if anything should happen, I do at least have them scanned. So
I'll tell you another thing it does too. I mean, you know, to all of our family members that are not genealogists, that roll their eyes when we start talking about it, you know, if you have things framed and on the wall or in shadow boxes or displayed in such a way that it looks important, I think when we're not here, I think they'll pay closer attention to those items than if they're just in a box in a closet somewhere.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Especially
because if it was important enough for you to frame it and put it on the wall, then maybe they'll think, you know what, that meant something to mom or dad. And so
exactly. And get those stories with them, you know?
Yeah. Even like Mary said, having them out, even risking a little bit of damage from a stray sunbeam on the stairwell, then they know them and they're interested. I mean, it's like a cool thing. We found when we remodeled our house, we found the original inspection certificate for the house in 1955. It's just a little piece of paper. We framed it. It's on the wall.
Yeah.
Cool.
it's the using them, the displaying them really that gives them the value.
Oh,
Right.
I agree.
Because
Yeah.
you know, stuff in a box doesn't
Yeah.
have any
No.
value in the heart. So
You
It
gotta
doesn't.
see it.
Exactly. You
Oh,
guys,
that's a good quote, Mary.
oh, yeah, that is a great quote. That was a great quote. We need to, after I get this recording done, I need to rewind it and write it down because it's a very good quote. I agree with you, Laura. That was great. This has been so much fun. I love seeing what other people have, and it makes me jealous sometimes. And I feel like, I was talking to my mom today and I told her what we were doing. And she goes, well, what are you going to show? You know? And I thought, well, I'm still thinking about it. So, because I do have, she does call me the keeper of all things, and people will say, I've got this or I've got that. And they will let me have it because they know that I'm going to take care of it.
Right.
So yeah, or at least I'm going to try the best that I can to take care of it. So this has been really great. We'd love to hear your comments about what things that you have from your maternal line. And like I said, we'll do a paternal line as we get closer to Father's Day, because I think that would be fun, because I know we've got things on those lines too. So with that, thank you, everybody. And like I said, we would love to hear your comments. We want to know what wonderful things that you have and what you're doing to either display it, share it with your family, or help keep it safe, all those things. So we will see you next time on GenFriends. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know why.